Okay folks, I'm just going to first of all begin by giving you a quick introduction to some of the drawing tools that can be used within Adobe Illustrator. I'm particularly going to be looking at the pen tool, the brush tool, pencil tool, and also the block brush tool. So to start with, the pen tool, similar to working in Flash and also in Adobe Photoshop, it's a case of clicking down with your mouse or stylus, dragging also to make any curves for your bezier handles, and that is how you generate a path. Now, with that path being selected, you can alter the stroke style, I guess, of the path. You can do that up here by selecting a variety of options from the library here. So for example, if I choose artistic ink, there's a number in here that I can choose from, so stick with this just now, and you'll notice that that's applied to the path and the stroke that I've made. Also within the stroke tab, if you don't have that, you'll find it under here. Under your stroke tab, there's a series of different options that will allow you to be able to adjust the line that you've just, or the path you have just created. Down here you are able to adjust the profile, which you can also change up here, but if I click on it, you'll notice that the profile of the path has been tapered on either end, and you can also use this this icon here to flip along, which basically just reverses the points of where it's tapering along the path. And that can be quite useful if you're planning on drawing with a series of simple lines and then looking to apply a stroke definition on top of it to give it a bit more of a stylistic look. Similarly, those techniques can be applied to pencil. Again, you're given a path. You'll notice that it's defaulted back to both uniform and basic, but same thing, I can go in here and apply a brush definition, etc. And also, you'll notice that by using the direct selection tool across the path, you've got a series of anchor points which can be moved and allow you to then manipulate the shape of your path. Okay, so lastly, if I just delete that for you, before going on to the block brush tool, the paintbrush. Okay, so it's similar again to both the pen and the pencil. More so probably to the pencils, as you'll just, once you're finished creating the line and the stroke using the mouse or the stylus pen, it will generate the path for you as opposed to the pen having to stop and click. But you'll notice that it's made up of the same kind of information, anchor points along the way, and it's automatically just jumped to the preset I'd used before for the pen. Okay, whenever you go to the pencil, it tends to just automatically default back to uniform and basic. So that's something you want to take into consideration. Make sure that you know you're using the same brush definitions and also properties down here for the stroke, if you intend to use that throughout your image. Okay. Now the eraser tool, if I select that here, show you that I can break apart these lines, and if I hold Control Y or Command Y if you're using a Mac, you see how I've broken up this path into a series of paths which are then editable in their own right. Okay, just Control Y to go back into outline mode, and I'll delete that. Now the last brush that we're going to look at is the block brush tool, and the reason I guess I've left this to last is what we're going to be using in kind of the following tutorial for drawing around or inking one of our images from a scanned pencil drawing. So with the block brush tool selected, I have my colour black, and I'll just draw. Now this isn't too dissimilar to a brush if I go back into my outline mode, Control Y or Command Y if you're using a Mac, the difference is that when I draw new paths, you'll notice that this becomes one shape. Okay. And the advantage of that is that it allows us to easily paint and create an outline of an object similar to working within Flash or even using a brush within Photoshop. And remember, I guess the way that the vector packages work is that they recognise each individual graphic or shape line as an individual object that come together, and that can be quite tricky when you're trying to kind of fill objects with colour. So the block brush tool, if you double click on that, we're going to have a wee look at some of the settings that it has available. In the moment, you'll notice I don't have these radio buttons ticked. Keep selected is simply just going to show you what you previously had drawing as a selection. Merge only with the selection is going to turn off that option of automatically just joining with every single line and stroke that you create. What's going to happen is it's only going to merge with the selection that you have selected at that present moment in time. Fidelity and smoothness are going to affect the overall style and look of your brush. The lower the fidelity and the lower the smoothness, the more like to the path or stroke you are trying to create. Whereas if you increase the fidelity or the smoothness, what you're doing is you're kind of asking the computer to try and give you a helping hand, and the program will try and work it out to how best it feels. You're trying to imitate the stroke. Down here you have options of being able to adjust the size of your brush, similar to how you would up the top here, but in particular you have a few options now. Because I'm using a stylus pen, I have it on pressure, and you can set the variation, which basically just sets a limit to make sure that you don't go beyond this size that you have created. So you could make your brush bigger, but make sure that there's a variation limit of between, say, 4 points, which means it's not, or it's going to vary between this size and the variation. You also have the opportunity to change the angle and also the roundness of your brush. And the best way to kind of see how these functions or settings will work is simply just by testing it. So I'll OK that just now and just test it. Now if I lean slightly heavier, you should see some difference in the strokeness or the strokes and the paths that we're generating. What I'll do is I'll just reduce this and increase the variety and variation. Okay, so the best thing for you to do is to kind of play about with the block brush, try and get a setting that you're happy with that will give you the kind of style that you're looking for before you start inking out your drawing. What we're going to do now is we're just going to do a kind of short tutorial. We're drawing around the scanned image that we've put in. We're using this block brush tool, and then further from that we're going to then use the live paint bucket tool to make this selection and turn it into a paintable area. And from that we'll colour the full image.